Thank you for coming. My name is Sarah Hoovey, and I'm one of the English instructors here. That's Ken Verhulst back there on the keyboards, and he is another English instructor here, and you'll hear from these people in a minute. So I just want to talk to you for a few minutes about how we approach English education from a Christian perspective here at Calvin. And one of the first ways I think that we do that really well is being relational. We absolutely love our jobs. We love hanging out with these kids all day. And in a kind of smaller community school, we're able to develop one-on-one relationships with all the students. A lot of these students we have, sophomores and then seniors, or one semester and then another one the next year. We're able to go to their games. We're able to go to open houses. We've been to professional faiths. We know their brothers and sisters. So not only does that really help them as learners, because we know who they are as learners, we know their struggles and their strengths and their passions, but it also makes us, or gives us kind of the position of a mentor or a guide kind of walking through high school with them. Specifically in English education, how we approach that is really focusing on the development of each student's voice. So we want each student to really discover their voice and be able to strongly communicate effectively for themselves and with other people. And we put that into practice through writing, through presenting, through collaborating with other students. And we also want them to think that their voice is important, but it's one of millions in our world. And through novels and through nonfiction, they're able to access all of those other voices as well and develop empathy for people from other time periods, from other socioeconomic classes, from other ethnicities, and those voices that have been marginalized as well.
Hi, Mrs. Clausen, so welcome to my classroom. Here at Calvin, students take an English class every single year, so 9th through 12th grade. But then in their 12th grade, they do have the opportunity to take an AP English Literature class in place of English 12. And all of these classes incorporate the reading, the writing, the language, and the communication skills throughout the whole year. And with that, we've transitioned from the more individualized or topical classes like American literature, British literature, writing and grammar, or speech class, to incorporating all of these into every single grade level. So with what Subi said here, we expand and reflect on both fiction and nonfiction reading, because both are essential throughout our whole lives. Students learn new critical reading skills that help them dig deeper into text, find those deeper meanings, how we understand the world better, but also how we understand our personal relationship through God, and using these pieces of literature, these nonfiction, to help us understand that. We also foster a cooperative learning environment, and what that means is we do a lot of small group or large group discussions. We kind of complete tasks with those groups or activities, sometimes projects, and this helps students become better speakers and listeners. They listen thoughtfully, speak thoughtfully, but also reflect our mission and vision for not only the English department but the entire school. Students also respond to all of these texts, not only the traditional essays and tests, but through real and authentic writing, so like blogs and letters, and this helps them get the real world writing experience and skills that they'll use outside of the classroom throughout the rest of their life, and build on those language skills to become better at it.
Hi everyone, I'm Matt Jewett. I don't know about you, but I hate to be told what to read. I hate it when someone just shoves a book in, borrow my book, you'll love it. All of a sudden I don't want to read it. And it's been kind of tricky because I'm usually the guy that shoves a book in your face, right? Like, here, read Great Gatsby, you'll love it. And it's been kind of difficult because I understood that student that's like, you just told me what to read, now I don't want to read it. And so what we've been trying to do at Calvin here is try to make sure that choice is a part of reading. And so we're trying to design units that are revolving around maybe a theme or a culture or maybe a specific time period where I can actually get to know you as a student and figure out what you like and try to guide you to a work that's of your grade level that could maybe actually get you to like to read. which would be really nice. One of the amazing things is once you have that choice, there's an element of ownership there. You can actually own your thoughts and own your choices. And because what we want from literature is that literature can be both a mirror and it can be a window, right? It can be a mirror so you can see yourself and your culture and what you actually believe and value just a little bit better. And it can be a window because then you can kind of look through this book and you can see a different culture, a perspective that you wouldn't have been able to see before if you didn't have that window, right, to see through. And to me, this is an incredibly valuable experience, right? Where you can actually ask or have another text that asks those questions that we should all be asking. Who am I? Where am I going? Who is God? What does my culture really serve? All these questions that if we see it from a different window, a different vantage point, we can hopefully come to a better understanding of ourselves, our culture, and our God.
So our writing curriculum and practices are based on some research-based pedagogical beliefs. And the first one is really that writing is a skill, not an innate quality that we're born with. That I'm not born a good writer, somebody else isn't born a bad writer. But it's a skill just like basketball or the violin, that with enough effort and persistence and support, that anybody can grow in that area. And so we put that into practice in a few different ways. One, we write really regularly to get used to that feeling and be able to generate ideas. One of our classes, or one of our grades right now, they're working on NaNoWriMo Month, National Writing Month, and they're working on writing their own novels. And so they do writing on those every day and start to put their own stories together. Another way we do this is through the way that we offer feedback. So in my class, when I get a stack of papers for students and I need to give them feedback, it doesn't look like one kid's is completely covered in red ink of all the grammatical errors that I found, and the other kid, the stronger writers, is completely blank because there's no grammatical errors. If you look at the papers I'm handing back, every kid gets the same amount of feedback because I want everyone, no matter where they're at, to go to the next level, to be pushed and challenged to be a more powerful writer. And so most of my comments are addressing their ideas and their thoughts and the clarity of those ideas, and showing or challenging them to maybe take risks if they've already mastered the basics. Another belief of ours is that writing is a process. So good writing doesn't necessarily happen a half hour on Sunday night. The day before our papers due. And so we walk kids through that process. We'll do a lot of brainstorming and planning and free writing techniques before they're expected to go home and write a paper. We'll help them plan and give them feedback on their ideas. They'll draft, and then they'll come back and they'll work in response groups where they'll share their writings with other kids, and those kids will be trained to give them feedback on their writing. And they'll take it home, and then they'll add to it and maybe brainstorm some more and revise some more, and then they'll take it back to some kids and get feedback. And we do that recursive process until they have a draft they're ready to turn in for a summative grade. And even then they're not really done. They do self-assessments where they look back at the process of things that went well, they'll set goals for next time. And so they're assessed on that whole process, because that whole process isn't how weak writers write. It's how strong professional writers write with all of those important steps. The final thing is that we really want students to have skills of moving through different purposes and audiences with writing. So although students will write academic research essays in this class and turn them into us, they'll do a lot of other types of writing for a lot of other audiences too, because in jobs today, not many people are writing 5-paragraph essays professionally. At least I don't know many. But we are doing all types of writing, so they're doing eulogy writings and blog writings and wikis and narrative essays and poetry and a whole bunch of different types of writing. So that when they come to a task like a open house thank you letter, that they know the questions to ask of who's my audience, what do they want from me, and what's my purpose I'm trying to achieve, so that they have that flexibility. Thank you very much for coming. We'll be in the TLC afterwards at the end of the time. If you have any questions, please come by and